Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to our live feed update for September 1st. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and with me today is Liana. How you doing, Liana?
Taran, my man, what is good? I'm great. It was a pretty quiet day in the Big Brother house. This will probably be a short one, but I think we'll cover all of the few notable things that happened yesterday.
Yes, we are here to update you on everything that happened on the Big Brother 20 live feeds yesterday. So let's get started. As we know, Tyler is our new HOH, and Scottie has battled back into the house, it's causing some deja vu. Wait a minute. Are we in this week or last week? Are they one and the same? We're not sure.
I know. And to think, I was so excited that Scottie came back and that Fessy, was like, didn't win the battle back. And then pretty much a repeat of last week is happening again. Just swap out Scottie for Fessy. And that's pretty much the dynamics in the house right now.
Yeah. So we start the day. Tyler's going to talk to Brett. Brett wants to know, so what's our best move for us? How are we going to do this moving forward? They talk about Haleigh and Scottie should be the nominations. Tyler's got easy excuses to put them both up. They talk about some of the things that he can say. Scottie told them that he had a final two with Haleigh before he left last time. Haleigh told Tyler that Scottie had been talking about putting him up a few weeks ago. They voted Scottie out. Haleigh did put Tyler up. There's a plethora of reasons to choose from.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much just the rationale of this is why I'm going to make my nominations. And it was pretty straightforward, right? I mean, Haleigh up on the block is an easy one because, she put Tyler up and outed herself as the hacker, right? I mean, that's clear. And then Scottie, a revolving door, he voted him out. I mean, it's pretty cut and dry.
Yes. Brett is also going to talk about JC. He's like, I'm getting nervous about this guy. I think he is going to take a shot at Angela and Kaycee soon. I don't think he's that worried, but I think he's, again, just like, just so you know, this is probably happening. He says they've been really reckless about showing how close they are, Angela and Kaycee. They need to be careful about that.
Right. I mean, there is definitely a concern of, Brett thinking like, well, we still don't want to out this group because, believe it or not, like nobody knows about the level 6 alliance. I mean, they know that sort of these core people are sort of working together, but it's never been sort of formally outed. And I think Brett is just nervous that if Kaycee and Angela really sort of like blow the roof off the whole thing, they're not at the end yet. And this is sort of careless gameplay that could get them into trouble. But I think the house is relatively solid. I don't think it's going to make that big a difference, but that's something Brett is concerned about.
Yes. Brett also lets Tyler know, Tyler, you are my first priority. Level 6 is the second priority. That is the order of priorities for Brett. Tyler first.
That should be the mantra of pretty much every person in this Big Brother house is Tyler first. I just don't know what it is about this man. I would love to be in a room with him and just to get a sense of sort of this, surfer vibe, I guess, that he puts off and really truly understand if it's almost like he has the mist that Scottie thinks Brett has. Right? Because, that's what, like, nobody really gets it, right? But he's just winning all of them over and they're all putting him first.
Yeah, Brett, totally. We should be together.
Oh,
We'll
man,
go on a
yeah.
date outside this house.
And it's the way he speaks. I mean, I don't know how intentional he is about it. I think he is familiar with the game. He knows the game, so he must be. But there has to be something on top of that. It's not just his conscious way that he portrays himself, but there's also just something about his aura. I'm sure that's why Kaitlyn was drawn to him. She could sense that because he truly is just so incredibly amazing when it comes to a social game. And I think part of it is trying and part of it is just who he is.
Yeah. He's good. He's good at this game. They talk about who would we nominate as the replacement nominee. That would be a tricky situation. It would probably be Sam, but they don't really want to. Sam, they feel like, is loyal to them, even though she is a bit of a wild card. But ultimately, the replacement would probably be Sam if one of these nominees won the veto.
Yeah, I have to imagine it's going to be Sam. I just think that, I mean, like, JC would freak out. And then, of course, he's not going to put anybody up from level 6. So Sam is the one that's on the chopping block.
Yes. Haleigh's going to talk to Tyler and Angela. She's going to spend most of the day complaining about Sam, which is actually not a bad strategy if she's doing it intentionally. Obviously, she's not going to spend any time really campaigning for herself. She's going to spend most of it just like trashing Sam all day, which like. If she's doing it, like I said, if she's doing it intentionally, I think she is intentionally kind of helping her own case. If she's doing it unintentionally, which I think she might be, she is unintentionally helping her case, because the more she hates Sam, the more the rest of the house is like, she's going after Sam.
Yeah, I 1000% agree. This actually reminded me of when, I think it was Big Meech who was targeting Bridget in 18, where it was just like, for some reason, Big Meech had this like thing against Bridget. Am I remembering that correctly? I don't remember if that was intentional or not, but everybody was like, sort of, well, we had talked about it as a strategy that was like, oh, if, she's so concerned about targeting somebody else, then no one else is going to come after her, because they know that her target, Big Meech's target was going to be Bridget. And so sort of in the same way with Haleigh, nobody's going to come after Haleigh because they know that Haleigh is going to target Sam.
Yeah, it's the Godfrey, the Karen. If you are obsessed with targeting one person, then everyone can feel like they can rely on you to not come after them and instead come after that one person. That said, again, it's hard to know how much of this is intentional. Based on her history of making good decisions in this game, I'd say it's probably not, but we'll probably never find out, because again, we don't get accurate diary rooms from Haleigh. So anyway, she's gonna spend most of her time trashing Sam. She's very annoyed that Sam was cheering Tyler on. She's complaining to Tyler that Sam was cheering for Tyler. She's also pissed that Sam voted her out and came up with a dumb excuse of using Fessy's speech, like it was really Fessy's speech that caused you to vote me out, Sam. Oh, I just hate this girl.
Yeah, like Sam actually had a real reason for doing anything in the house. I think something was actually calculated or premeditated. Sam be salmon.
Yeah. She also apologizes for Fessy's speech. She says it was uncalled for. It made Fessy look angry and childish. After he made that speech, I was hoping he didn't even get back into the house.
Yeah, again, don't know if this is intentional or not. Probably not. But, like, good on you, Haleigh.
Well, like, she knew he was gonna make a speech. I'm willing to bet that while he was making the speech, she was like, this is what's gonna keep me safe, Fessy. Oh my god, you just made it worse for me. Thanks a lot.
If Fessy wasn't having these moments of like self-actualization and self-realization about what he's done, I could see Fessy being like, see, Haleigh didn't go this week. My speech gave her protection.
Well, let me try to be Haleigh in the diary room.
Okay,
like, really,
excited.
like, this is the speech that I'm getting from Fessy. It's just really annoying, and just like she constantly seems annoyed in the diary room. It's very amusing to me.
Yeah, and then with the like weird eye thing that she does,
Yeah,
like,
she
not
like
looking
looks.
at the camera.
Yeah, she like rolls her eyes a little bit, and she like speaks like she's annoyed the whole time. It's very funny.
Yeah, that's also part of the mastermind edit, I'm sure, that the producers are giving her this season.
Yeah. So JC is gonna talk to Tyler. He says this should be easy, same as last week. Only Scottie's here instead of Fessy. Scottie's just too good to keep in this game. We need to make sure that Scottie goes.
Yup. I don't really have much to add, because I mean that's what happened, and it is, like we said, pretty much a repeat of last week, but just swap out Scottie and Fessy.
Yeah. JC also says, what I was talking about, the thing about like turning on Angela and Kate. Forget about that. That's in the far future. We need the numbers. We need to focus on numbers, and it's just like, F you, Battleback.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh no, it's out of my mind. It's not necessary. We definitely don't need to do this." I was like, "Oh, okay, yep. So we're just gonna go ahead and roll back everything that happened last week. That's fine."
And it's just like you can this you're seeing the direct effects of the battle back and how it impacts these people, because JC, who is feeling like, all right, it's time to make a move, it's a little risky, but I need to take the shot now, to, oh crap, Big Brother screwed me by bringing back the one person that has always been on to me and would be coming after me. I need to, like, screw making the risky bold moves. I need to focus on numbers and just make sure that I'm as safe as possible for as long as possible, because otherwise I could get screwed by a random twist. This is what limits gameplay.
Okay, so just as a quick counterpoint, I will say, when I watched the battle back on TV in my apartment, I audibly cheered and clapped to myself. So that brief moment of happiness, I'm trying to just sort of ride out for the rest of this week, because the live feeds are really boring.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The twists, it's just like Big Brother Canada. The twist will give you a moment of joy and then a week of hangover. Like, it is not worth it.
I know, but what's the saying that it's like, you're borrowing happiness from tomorrow or something like that? That should be part of your whole mantra when you're going to complain about twists. Also, your platform, when you run for office or whatever it is that you're going to do, or run for president of CBS, whatever our plan was that we've talked about like several weeks ago.
I hear there's an opening.
Totally run on that. Exactly. Got to make you run now, Taran.
So JC, yes, he said, forget about the Angela and Kaycee thing. He also says Brett's worried about being the first to go from the alliance. And Tyler says it doesn't have to be that way. Brett doesn't have to be the first one to go. And JC's like, yeah, totally. I mean, that's like, I don't think he has to be, but he's worried that he is. And I felt like when Tyler was saying it, like, Brett doesn't have to be the first one to go, I was thinking, because Tyler was thinking that Brett was the first one to go, but now that he has a final two with Brett and they've been talking a lot, I feel like maybe he's decided he wants to keep Brett around a little bit longer, which made me think, well, okay, so who's the first one to go now? And I was thinking, oh, Tyler's telling JC Brett doesn't have to be the first one to go. That's because I think JC is now the first one to go.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think that conversation that happened between Brett and Tyler during the veto competition last week really helped this cause. It was sort of this sharing information about JC and putting a lot of doubt in Tyler's mind about JC. I mean, I know he talked about JC being in his final four, but I don't know if that's necessarily the case. The other thing that I was thinking about, and I don't know if Angela would be the first one to go, but there has been a lot of talk from Scottie about that. Scottie told Tyler at some point yesterday, Bayleigh and Rockstar are talking about you and Angela being in a showmance. And I think for Tyler, that whole idea of, not being willing to cut your showmance, I think might influence him in a bad way. But I think that because hearing it now from jurors, I think he thinks he'll get more cred in the end if he makes it there without his showmance and by cutting his showmance. So, I think he might try to save that for later. It wouldn't necessarily be at, let's say, final 6 or final 5, but it's definitely a possibility.
Yeah. And, ultimately, I feel like even if he is thinking about cutting JC earlier now, I feel like when it comes down to it, he will come around to the idea of like, no, I'm gonna keep JC. He's so bad at these competitions; it's not worth cutting him. But I do feel like he is frustrated with JC and would like personality-wise prefer to cut him over Brett, and certainly anyone over Angela. Though he's definitely willing to cut Angela and plans on cutting Angela. But we'll just have to wait and see now. So Tyler talks to Scottie as well, and he lets Scottie know like what was happening last week. He says, Fessy and Haleigh approached us with a final four, and we were like, sure. This is actually very important since he's potentially about to send Scottie right back to the jury house, so that he can basically load Scottie up with a good sequence of events that Scottie can bring back to the jury house, especially since Fessy's gonna go to the jury house like, oh, I made a final four with them, and they betrayed my trust. And like Tyler's version of it can be like, well, yeah, I mean, he was desperate and he approached us with like this deal that was obviously terrible, and we decided no.
Hmm. Yeah, it's interesting because Scottie, like, it behooves Tyler to sort of fill in Scottie on all these things and sort of continue to build a strong relationship with Scottie, because Tyler can fall back on like, oh, people wanted him on the block. I think it's, and he does this with Haleigh also, that, well, I don't want you to go, but there are people who want you on the block. And he's sort of playing this, well, this is what the house wants. It's not me. If I had my druthers, you would stay, which has, something that Tyler has done previously when he was HOH. And he's doing it again this week, which I think is a great move, because obviously one of these people is going to go to the jury house. And if he can use them, particularly Scottie, as a tool to try to convince some of the jury members, I think that that's a really smart call on Tyler's part.
Yes, and he does talk a lot about that to Scottie. Like, look, the house wants some things, and I've got to go with what the house wants sometimes. Scottie lets Tyler know a lot of information as well. He says, look, Haleigh's been clinging on to me ever since I came back. They talk about Tyler's like, everyone's convinced I'm in a showmance, and the showmance, the more you try to convince people you're not in a showmance, the more people think you're in a showmance. And Scottie's like, tell me about it. Scottie's like, no, and don't worry, I'm done with the being smitten with Haleigh. And he's like, really? And he's like, no, not really. And Scottie says, oh yeah, Haleigh also told me that you said you'd be coming after me a few weeks ago. So Scottie's like, what? And Tyler says he doesn't want Sam to go. Scottie lets Tyler know all about the jury house. He says Bayleigh and Rockstar could not shut up about Angela and how entitled and spoiled she was, and how I've heard like the exact wording of her goodbye messages like 50 times, and you and her and a showmance together, and if they came back into this house, they would have been targeting you two for sure.
Scottie needs to keep his mouth shut. Like, there are so many times I just want to take duct tape and just be like, Scottie, shut up, stop giving away information. Because I think the thing is that, yes, a lot of the times he just talks about so many different things, and I think that there are little nuggets of information that Tyler can pull out and that he can use, and I think it's good on Tyler's part for doing so, but just like, Scottie, shut up. Oh my goodness.
Yes, he also says, because Faute is going to Faute, he says, Bayleigh and Rockstar told me all about how Haleigh and Fessy have never trusted me and never will trust me because of my relationship with you, Tyler. So that's one of the reasons why I needed to work with you, Tyler, coming into this house, because they're never going to trust me.
Yes, that's why.
Like, congrats, Faute. You're in the freaking jury house and you still can't trust each other.
I know, it's amazing. Although I will say, having all of them come for the battle back and have that like 30-second reunion was pretty cute. But yeah, Faute going to Faute. Yeah.
So he says he figures that JC, he says JC and Haleigh are the ones that must have convinced Fessy to put me up. Fessy was so apologetic. He felt like he was tricked. Who could have tricked him? The only people he listens to are Haleigh and Fessy, or Haleigh and Scottie. Haleigh and JC. I'm not used to saying those two names next to each other, apparently. And so it must have been Haleigh and JC that convinced him to put Scottie up, which is correct. So there you go. He says, Tyler, Angela, and Kaycee, you three have been the most straight up to me all game.
Yeah, I mean, this is why, Tyler would, I think if he had his druthers, would probably want to keep Scottie, because Scottie is essentially pledging loyalty to Tyler, a little bit inadvertently, but, essentially saying like, I'm with you. I think that Scottie struggles with making really concrete statements and concrete deals. That was his problem with Fessy when Fessy was HOH, because he never went up and sort of concretely said like, so we're good, right? Like, followed up and really confirmed that like, no, I was the vote, that was in your favor. I'm on your side. He doesn't really do that. And he doesn't really do that here with Tyler. And I think if he, was able to potentially strengthen that and be a little bit more direct with how he feels, I think that would benefit him. But again, he's gonna say, look, it's what the house wants. I gotta go with what the house wants.
I think that Tyler actually does want Scottie to stay this week, if only just to be able to say that he has a final two with every single person left in the house, if you count his showmance. I think he does, but obviously everyone else in his alliance and JC and like basically everyone wants Scottie out. So right now he's doing a lot of like, well, I don't have a target. We'll see what happens. I think that he feels like Scottie's likely to win the veto anyway. So if that happens, then I'll deal with the replacement nominee from there. But then I can get Haleigh out, and then if not, then we will genuinely see. I think that he is very undecided at this point, and so he is trying to play it as evenly as possible. He tells Scottie he kind of has to do what the house wants this week. He kind of, what the house wants the same thing. And Scottie says, look, as long as you put up who the house wants out, you should be fine. Sorry, Scottie, that's you. But I'm willing to do whatever I can do to help you. So you've got my vote. You've got whatever you need. Anything you need, Tyler. He's like, all right, cool. What I'm going to need is for you to go up on the block.
Yeah. Still gonna put you on the block, especially because you essentially gave me your blessing to go with what the house wants. So
yeah, it was a good conversation though. It was the most interesting conversation of the day. So there you go. It receives the Taran Update Award for most interesting conversation of the day. Tyler and Scottie.
Oh boy, wow, what an honor. You got to make up little plaques. I think you go all out on this one. This award. You can have different categories. Most awkward conversation of the day. I think you could really branch out.
That would be Haleigh and Tyler later on.
Oh my God, yeah, so awkward.
Tyler lets Angela know that he had a conversation with Scottie, and he says the goal is to keep Scottie thinking he's just a pawn because he's likely to win the veto anyway. So if he does that, then he won't be as mad.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. That's the thing, is that Scottie, because he is a physical competitor, he does stand a chance to win veto. So Tyler's sort of playing it like, yeah, I mean, whatever, whatever the house wants, very neutral. That's his best play this week because Scottie could win veto.
Yes. Tyler talks to Haleigh one more time before nominations. He questions her about the, did Scottie really say he was coming after me at one point, and so on and so forth. And Haleigh wants to know, am I going up on the block? He's like, I don't know. We'll see.
Can't tell you. Yeah, it was really interesting because in this conversation, I think Haleigh said something along the lines of, yes, Scottie did tell me, but this could have been a case of, oh, this is what I wanted to hear. Like, he just told me what I wanted to hear. And I was like, Haleigh, no, you need to throw him under the bus. Like, that the two of you together are not going to make any inroads this week. You are a potential target along with, maybe Sam and Scottie. So please don't say stuff like that. Yeah,
she's like, he might have just been telling me what I wanted to hear. And Tyler's like, you wanted to hear that he was coming after me?
Right, exactly.
Like, oh, no.
Yeah, it's bad for two reasons. For that reason, that then it means that Haleigh wanted to target Tyler and that Scottie wasn't actually targeting Tyler at all.
Yeah.
Oh, disaster.
So he does not end up telling her that she's about to go on the block. Feeds go down for the nomination ceremony. Tyler nominates Scottie and Haleigh. Haleigh's going to spend some time crying alone, but then talks to JC, and she's got some words for Sam. She's very mad at Sam. She can't stand Sam.
Can't stand Sam. Yes. And this goes back to the whole inadvertent strategy that Haleigh's doing with the, I'm just so mad at Sam. And I don't know if this is because she's emotional about being on the block and so she's taking it out on Sam. Like, that's how she's deciding to funnel her emotions. But it is working in her favor.
Yeah, and this is one of the reasons why I think it isn't intentional, because she's doing this to JC, who she has no reason to think that JC is the person that would be talking about her coming out. Like if she was doing this to to Angela, Tyler, Kaycee, then it would make a little more sense to me. But when she does it to JC, I think it's genuine. And she also has complained about Sam to Scottie, who would be very useless to complain about Sam to. So she's very annoyed at Sam. Sam, she's anti-woman. So yeah.
Yeah, this is like a full case of, Sam targeted Haleigh because she's like not an empowered woman, and now Haleigh's coming around back and targeting Sam. I don't know. There's some sort of loop there that could be tied up. But I loved it when JC, in this conversation, JC was like, you gotta stand up to her. And she said something that was like, I can get just as loud as Sam if needed. And all I could think of was Sandra, like, I can get loud too. What the F? So that was the one moment that made me happy this yesterday watching feeds.
Yeah, I don't think Haleigh should try to stand up to Sam. I think she's gonna find out that there's a lot of mud holes in her future.
Some curb stomping up in here.
So Haleigh is then also going to talk to Tyler. Tyler says, look, everyone wanted, she was like, I thought you were close with Scottie. He's like, look, everyone wanted me to put Scottie up. I got to put Scottie up. I got to do what I got to do. Haleigh wants to know if he was ever really considering nominating Sam. He says, I did consider it. But this makes more sense to me. Ultimately it comes down to the fact that you put me up. I voted Scottie out. And so these are the nominations that they made the most sense. She really hates that she's still on this thing. She mentions it so many times. Tyler, I just wish I could prove to you that I'm not gonna betray you again. I just never had the opportunity. I just wish I could have the opportunity, Tyler.
I don't know what you're hoping for, especially considering that you backstab him in a pretty big way with the hacker twist. So I think it's understandable if Tyler is a little hesitant to trust you again.
So she feels like after these nominations, I feel like I'm the target here. And Tyler's like, that's not necessarily the case. She's like, did you tell Scottie he's the pawn? He's like, I did not say those words. She's like, did you say similar words? No, I didn't.
Didn't do it. Yes. Again, this is what the house wants. Tyler, I think he blames the house for, particularly for these nominations. So very much playing his charisma social game that he needs to play, just sort of smoothing everything over. But it was very funny how sort of specific he was with certain words. It was like, no, maybe you're not the target. I don't know. And Haleigh's like, well, I just think this is a repeat of last week. And I think Tyler was like, well, if that's what you think, then go with that.
He's like, that's a good that's a good way to think about it. Yeah. He's really trying hard to not give Haleigh any ammunition to use to tell Scottie that he might be the target, while also trying to make Haleigh think that she's not the target. He spends a lot of time like, let's just wait until the veto. Once we know what's going on with the veto, then we'll figure things out and we can talk and everything will be cool. He's just trying to make sure that because he feels like genuinely both of them could go this week, and once the veto happens, he can figure out which one he's gonna which one he can get the votes to evict, and then at that point he will work on the other one in terms of like, you were always the pawn, I promise.
Right. I mean, because things are still up in the air because veto hasn't happened yet. Tyler, the cautious player that he isn't willing to commit to one way or the other. Again, a smart move. He did seem a little bit over Haleigh in this conversation. I was getting shades of Angela when Angela was like, I'm going to nominate Haleigh and Fessy just to get them out of my room. But obviously that didn't have the effect when Tyler put Haleigh up. But yeah, he's dealing with her in his Tyler way.
It was pretty funny. They flirted a little bit as Haleigh often does. But Haleigh was like, man, it's so annoying because I can't be mad at you. I can't stay mad at you, Tyler. I can't keep being. I'm not mad. And he's like, well, what are you gonna do?
That missed dough.
Yeah.
I think if somebody could figure out how to bottle that up and sell it, you would be a billionaire.
Maybe you just need a lock of his hair.
Straightened or unstraightened?
I don't know. I think it needs to be unstraightened to get the full effect.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get maybe Kaitlyn could design an essential oil for us based on this, and then we can use that.
We need to figure out, since like the mist, that's like a Dan thing. We need something unique to Tyler, because I think Tyler deserves his own thing, and maybe it should be revolving around his hair.
Yeah, I've also heard ocean spray be
Ocean
the term
spray,
that's
yeah.
used. Yeah.
We can come up with something. We've got another, like, what, 4 weeks.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that we're working on another B&B coming up soon. So
Okay.
Mike and I, maybe we can double down and try to workshop this a little bit.
Sounds good. All right. Anything else you wanted to talk about from yesterday?
Nope. I think that's it.
All right. This is a quicker update here. Hopefully, we'll have some intrigue with the veto, and then with the discussion of which one should go, Scottie or Haleigh. I do feel like keeping Scottie around is the better move for Tyler. I said this last week as well with Fessy. I feel like Scottie is easier to manipulate, although that might not be the case anymore. But at the very least, the thing with Scottie is that Scottie is planning, or is the only person Scottie can work with is Tyler. He has no connections with anybody else, and he's a big target. He people like JC and Brett will have to still focus on Scottie, as opposed to Haleigh, who they feel like they can work, and and is not a threat to them. I do feel like Scottie is the better person for Tyler to keep, obviously not for JC or Brett. So that could get interesting if Tyler decides to try and push that, or manipulate them into being okay with it. We'll just have to wait and see. But otherwise, I think that's all we got for you.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I think that Scottie actually, because he's a physical competitor, if he's on Tyler's side, that's actually a benefit to Tyler, even though it's a negative for everybody else. So yeah, I mean, I agree. I think keeping Scottie is the best, but I think Tyler is just not willing to rock the boat if he can't, swing the house and get the votes in a subtle way.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing he wants to do is really push and then make it seem like him and Scottie are an actual duo, and then he gets put up on the block next to Scottie or something like that. Not that that would ever happen, let's be real. So, yes, make sure you follow us on Twitter. I'm at Armstrong Taran. Liana is at Liana Boris. You can find me on Twitch as well. It's linked from my Twitter page, or you can find it on Twitch, Taran Armstrong. And I will be back tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern to update you on everything happening today on the feeds. And then tomorrow night, we will have a recap of the nomination episode. The HOH is going to be on that episode, and we'll be talking about it. And there was a special Summer of Stein that happened yesterday, so make sure you check that out. And I think that's it.
All right, sounds good.
Just about a half hour here. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I will see you next time.